All right. Hello, everyone. It looks like not too many people are on quite yet, but some hop on as we go. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. So happy Thursday, everyone. And if you're in Nebraska, hopefully you're staying warm out there. Looks like we have a chat. Hi, Roberta. So we're just going to go ahead and get started with some announcements, and then we will begin the webinar. So our featured sponsor for February was US Bank. So huge shout out to them, because without their sponsorship, none of this would be possible. Our featured member is Video Kingdom Electronics, and they have been a member since 2020. So if you're in the Kearney area, be sure to go check out their retail store here in Kearney. And this week's presenter is Greg and Keith of Honorbound IT. So if you have any questions for them throughout the presentation, just be sure to pop them in the chat, which is now enabled. And hopefully we'll have some more people joining us live, but if not, they'll watch the recording. So I'll pass it over to you guys.
Well, hello. Welcome to our first live webinar. We've never done one of these before, so it's kind of exciting. Keith, go ahead and work the board if you would.
Yeah. Share the screen here.
There we go. So today's webinar is about taking time to save time. And I'm Greg Fine, and this is Keith Haskin. We're from Honorbound IT here in McCook, Nebraska. If you're ever down in the Southwest Nebraska area, come visit us. We'd love to visit with you. We'd like to thank Grow Nebraska for giving us the opportunity to do this webinar. And what you can expect is we're going to do a little 8-minute video, and we'll do some bonus content. And then Keith's actually going to do a demo of some of the software that we actually use in-house in order to manage our time. And then we'll end with some questions and answers. If you have questions for us and you'd like to engage us, our email for engaging is help@honorboundit.com, and we'd love to hear from you. At the end of the session, I'm going to have a bonus if you choose to engage with us for a right fit conversation, but we'll mention that right at the very end. All right. All business owner, you know that having the right tools makes all the difference. That's why we love Microsoft 365. It's a suite of productivity tools that can help you streamline your operations. Hey, I'm just popping back on. For some reason, the audio does not want to work now. It started off working and then it... Oh yeah, I cannot hear your sound now either.
Oh, we hit the mute button.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sometimes when you mute it, it mutes the video too. So glad we got to figure it out. All right, let's start it over. We have a wide range of this, and if you bought into business smoothly, every minute and every dollar you have counts.
We all want the best value from our software investments. That's why we recommend Microsoft 365 because it has a wide range of benefits. Every tool you use effectively can save you time and boost your profits. We're going to focus on a tiny slice of what it can do for you, and that will be about time management. Before we talk about software, let's discuss the problem first. In my opinion, if you buy software without a specific purpose, it's a waste of time and money. We're going to start our conversation with you about managing time because we think it'll have the biggest impact for you. Time is the one resource that none of us can replace. So good use of time usually translates to having better bottom line numbers. Everyone can benefit from improving their skills as it relates to time. Time management can be a challenge for small business owners for various reasons. We have a wide range of responsibilities. This can make it difficult to focus on tasks and divide our time effectively. The number one reason is that small business owners often wear many hats. Additionally, as small business owners, we're plagued with interruptions and distractions, such as phone calls and emails. Sometimes we get unexpected visits from people we do business with. Your customers and suppliers can call you up at random times. These interruptions can disrupt workflow. Staying focused and on track is challenging. Structure is another factor that causes time management challenges. We're out here on our own to create what is often already in place in larger organizations. Let's be honest, they have deeper pockets than we do. We might lack resources to hire extra staff. And as a result, we can't delegate tasks, which sometimes leads to an overwhelming workload. This makes developing systems and processes all the more important to manage their time effectively. Let's also consider that small business owners may need help balancing work and personal lives. We subject ourselves to long hours and heavy workloads. There are days we just feel burnt out. A lack of work-life balance can negatively affect our business and personal well-being. Thoughtful use of time can help us reduce our stress and anxiety. It's all about priorities. I had to ask myself, do I work to live or live to work? Write that down. You might want to revisit that question later. Do I work to live or do I live to work? Alrighty then, let's look how to resolve the underlying time management problems that software can't fix on its own. One of the books we discovered that we found helpful was The Myth of Multitasking, written by David Crenshaw. He writes about the challenges and consequences of multitasking and offers strategies for improvement. We encourage you to get a copy and read it, maybe more than once. We can't review the whole book in this short session, but we'll go over some of the highlights. In it, we learn the best way to improve our time is to focus on one task at a time. There's an argument that multitasking is a myth, and worse yet, it's a lie that we tell ourselves because it's what all the cool kids say. Instead, what is considered multitasking is really a phenomenon called switch tasking. The human brain cannot focus on more than one task at a time. Where the brain continuously switches back and forth between tasks, there's a decreased efficiency and productivity. If you don't believe me, let's stop this video and do an exercise to prove this. All right, so when we do this live, we hand out a sheet, and we will give that to Zoe at the end. It's an exercise that will prove to you that you cannot switch task and be efficient at the same time. It's pretty easy. It'll only take you like a minute or two, but it'll be well worth it. Actually, maybe we can toss it in the chat here. Yep, it's that one. Nope, it will not let us. Okay, moving on. Or do you want to open it and maybe we can show it?
I will share the screen for that.
All right, so this is it's kind of a quick exercise, little writing exercise. And Keith mentioned that you could probably try it on a keyboard as well, because most of us are not handwriting stuff anymore. You could actually try it and see. It's a timed exercise, so you can see how well you do when you're switching or versus doing one thing at a time. So yeah, the book is awesome. And we'll just continue on with our video. The myth of multitasking also suggests implementing systems and routines to improve time management. Let's check out the Eisenhower method, developed by no less than Dwight D. Eisenhower before he was president. When he was a general during World War II, he had to make many tough decisions and needed a strategy for using his time effectively. What he used was a matrix that consisted of a grid of 4 sections labeled urgent and important. These tasks get the highest priority. They need immediate attention. These tasks often involve deadlines or crises. You can't ignore them. Secondly, important but not urgent. These tasks get the next highest priority. They may not have immediate deadlines, but are still essential to achieving your long-term goals and objectives. Third, urgent but not important. Urgent and unimportant tasks should be put at a lower priority. These tasks may be distractions of things that you can put on somebody else's to-do list. Fourth is not urgent and not important. And not surprisingly, these tasks get the lowest priority. These tasks may be completely unnecessary. You can drop them. They'll only clutter up your to-do list. Here are 4 steps to use the Eisenhower matrix, and we'll give you a 5th one for a bonus. Gather all your tasks in one place and write a list. Type it up or whatever works for you. Choose what section the task falls under. Put a number beside each task. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Delegate what you can. And certainly let go of time wasters. Our 5th step is to commit your task to a calendar, whatever tool you use to schedule your time. But more important than anything is to take action. Now we're going to slightly change the subject. There's value in implementing systems and routines to improve time management. One technique is to set aside dedicated blocks of time for specific tasks. It's easier to plan ahead and stick to a schedule than it is to do things on the fly. To do this, you'll need to block off chunks for each task and subtask. This works especially well for tasks that you do frequently. One rookie mistake we used to make was adding too much to our calendar. Sanity, remember to allow breaks and flexibility as needed. This will also help you properly estimate the amount of
Hey,
time.
Greg and Keith,
Over or underestimating how much. Yes. time it takes to-
it's on the worksheet tab still, by the way.
I'm sorry.
The myth of multitasking sheet you had pulled up, that's the screen it's still on. It's not showing the video. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. We can't see the screen from your end, so. There we go.
You're estimating how. long
Better?
it will take to do a task.
And then you have to screen share again.
Up down the button.
Would look like. You might block off the first half hour of your day for emails and phone calls.
You're good to go. Thank
Next
you.
half hour might be used for administrative tasks. The middle of the day may be ideal for client meetings, and the last 2 hours of the day for project work. The biggest benefit of time blocking is that it helps those of us who tend to get distracted. Dedicated blocks of time for specific tasks allow us to stay focused and get more of what's important done in less time. The Myth of Multitasking is a great book, and it's helped us immensely to structure our day-to-day activities.
All right, so apologies for the technical difficulties. You can really tell that that we use Teams as our primary conferencing solution. So
You want to go over this slide because I think this was pretty important in the video that we missed.
yeah, it is it's extremely important. The Eisenhower matrix has 4 sections in it. One is important, and you need to get on those like white and rice, the urgent and important tasks. There are sometimes stuff that you just can't put off. And sometimes they don't even make it to your calendar because you just got to do them right away. If your place is burning down, you got to call 911, right? And then the second is important but not urgent, and it has the second highest priority. And they have might not be immediate deadlines, but they're still essential to get those items done. Because they're for your for your long-term goals. Third is urgent but not important, and those have a lower priority list. And if at all possible, look and see if you can delegate those to a coworker or something. And the last is not urgent and not important. And if you can dump all those tasks into the trash, do that. That is the short and long of the Eisenhower matrix. Zoe will give you a complete copy of the video so that you can post that. All right, so moving on. So we're going to switch gears here. And so we've described some of the underlying problems of that we're trying to solve. And so now we're going to look at some of the share with you some of the things we've observed in our client's process. There are things that through haste can cause waste. So write this down. It takes time to manage your time. It's an investment, if done thoughtfully, can produce high returns for your business and your personal life. I'm going to say that again, then Keith, can you throw that in the chat?
Sure will.
But I want you to write this down because then it gets, embedded in your psyche. It takes time to manage time. It's an investment that, if done thoughtfully, can produce high returns for your business and personal life. And as much as it pains me to say, because we're in the computer business, your computer can be a time-sucking device. Your smartphone is probably in the same category. They're always demanding our time. They send us alerts, whether they're productive or not, or relevant at the time. And these devices just don't care about our well-being or mental health. And honestly, our bodies were never designed for this always-on lifestyle. But out of the box, our devices treat us like they are. We get notifications that constantly interrupt our train of thought and send our minds into an endless state of dopamine switch tasking. When you do the switch tasking exercise that we're going to give you, you'll understand what I mean by that. This can be compounded by bad habits, such as being glued to email or social media, like looking at your email every 30 seconds. How many of us have gotten a Facebook notification and decided that we were going to go down the rabbit hole for an hour? Unfortunately, like, you do have control over this. And, I'm not here to tell you how to use your time, but if you want to get off this endless cycle that some of us get caught in, I've got 3 tips for you. First of all, and this is something that I did myself even just a few minutes ago with a new app that I put on my phone called Canva. I love the app. I think Zoe did a thing on that earlier in the month. And Jennifer watched it. So if you need to know how to do some marketing, go watch that. But turn off all the device notifications, and I did that just recently for a couple apps. Second, block off your time for doing email and social media. You don't need to spend all your time, like, you're every 10 seconds looking at your email. It just it can get to be absorbing and really ruin your productivity. And lastly, and this is a kind of a hot tip for me, is set quiet times on your phone for apps. And mine personally, when on my phone between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m., I have quiet time, like the do not disturb, because I'll tell you, nothing is worse than getting a notification spam in HubSpot from God knows where, waking me up at 3 a.m. in the morning. And this has happened. The next time wasting problem is also self-inflicted. And it's no surprise, it's disorganization. And there are 3 problems that can be your enemy if you add a computer to a disorganized environment. You might have trouble finding specific files or documents quickly. And this can lead to delays and disruptions in your workflow. Second, disorganized computer system can be more vulnerable to data loss, and sensitive information that isn't guarded can produce data leaks. If everyone has access to everything, and we see this often in smaller organizations, then it can lead to severe problems. So you need to make sure that you have stuff classified, that if it's confidential, that not everybody and his brother can see it, particularly your HR files. We don't want everybody in the company to know those. And third, it can make it harder for your people to work on projects. If they can't work on shared files and documents, this can waste time for everyone. And there's a multiplier in there. 5 minutes wasted time for 6 people cost you 30 minutes of productivity. And we're going to provide you at the end of this, we're going to give Zoe a copy of the downtime calculator. And technology is kind of a funny thing. Usually when we're wasting time, it happens in really small increments that it's so short and brief that you don't notice it. Kind of like death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it can be something even as simple as a 2-screen experience. Like, I couldn't live without 2 screens. Could you, Keith?
I wouldn't want to go back.
No, absolutely not. And it's something like going down and flipping between applications on the taskbar. That takes time, mental time as well.
Mhm.
But having 2 screens, if you're working on having to reference things back and forth, it might save you like 10, 15 seconds. But if you're doing that all day, every day on a single screen, that adds up really fast. But because it's in such small increments, it doesn't hurt. So that's just one example that we've seen. In fact, I think you got 3 screens, don't you?
I have 3 screens, but your computer monitor is like a 20.
Yeah,
It's massive.
Mine's giant. But we're going to give you the downtime calculator. It is, and downtime also includes wasted time. We'll get that. The math is easy. And if you value your time and you have a dollar amount on how much your time is worth, then it all makes sense.
I'll share the screen with them real quick.
Okay,
So
yeah.
they can see that one, because that is
That's kind of an important one. There we go. So your number of people by the average percent of those people that are affected, and the average hourly rate. Include yourself, because you small business owners are the worst ones for valuing your own time. Multiply by the number of hours, and then you can extrapolate that out for yearly revenue, operating hours, how much impact. And then there's all of the intangible costs as well. I mean, we just talked about money, but there's reputation. There's just like a ton of other intangible costs that are involved with downtime. So let's turn our attention to something a little different. You need to scroll up. let's turn our attention to time savings that can be made by turning problems into procedures. And even if you're really organized and you use your calendar successfully, you might still be spinning your wheels if you haven't turned your problems into procedures. And I learned this a long time ago in my early years of selling electronics. When we had complex things happen, we took it, we broke things down into simple procedures. This was done particularly with problems that occurred frequently. And these problems would have a significant impact on your business. So a standard operating procedure or SOP can do one of two things. It can, I'm sure that there are more, but there are two possible outcomes for having SOPs. They can prevent problems from happening again. And secondly, you can stop, you're using SOP to standardize your operations. The problems that you standardize your SOPs on also should include things that you do for your customers, because we are in the business of solving customer problems, right? And we sure want them to come to us whenever we have a problem, so that we're able to do a good job. Everyone wants to improve efficiency and reduce the risk of errors, and that really does translate into profit. And the time investment that you make into creating SOPs is well worth it. So there are 5 steps in turning problems into procedures. And the first is to do the identification part and examine, like, is it like something that you frequently encounter? Or, there's the other part of that where you might have something that's infrequent, but you forget how to do it. Having an SOP can be an absolutely giant time saver. I think we've had stuff where, man, we've only done that. Like, did we do that like 2 years ago? But we had an SOP for it, and we're able to solve the problem very quickly. But identify what the problem is, how frequent it is, and how much of a disruption or delay in your business it causes. That kind of gives you an idea of how much time and energy you should spend on that SOP. So you analyze it. This is the second step. You analyze the problem. And once you've identified it, you got to go and determine the root cause. You got to examine its impact on your business, but more importantly than anything, on your customers. This can help you develop more effective solutions. Third is to develop a solution for the problem, of course. This might involve creating a brand new process or procedure, or updating an existing one, because often things change. Go back and review them once in a while. I've sort of skipped ahead to my next step is to make sure that you're evaluating them, but involve your stakeholders when you're creating these. And those could be employees, clients, yourself. Make sure that your solution is going to be practical and workable. Sometimes it's easy to put stuff down on paper, and then you go to do it physically. It's a whole different ballgame. So practice your SOP if you're able to. And then the last step is, like I said, is really critical, is to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of your new procedure. Collect the feedback that you can get from employees or customers. Track your performance metrics if you use those for a specific purpose, and conduct regular reviews to see that the procedure works as intended. And it's whatever it takes, right? Again, remember that you solve whatever problems you solve for your customers should have SOPs attached to them. Your customers are going to love you for efficiency and professionalism. So let's recap real quick. I want you to write this down, and then Keith, you can throw that into the chat as well. Having organized systems in place are essential for effective time management. Otherwise, you may constantly be spinning your wheels if you lack systems. So having organized systems in place are essential prerequisites for time management. Otherwise, you may constantly be spinning your wheels if you lack systems. So it's always going to reduce the time and effort you spend on your tasks if you know what you're going to do. Organization and systems can help you identify and rank your most important tasks. You'll know where to focus your time. Tools such as calendars, to-do lists, task management software can also help you stay on track. And you'll avoid wasting time on low priority tasks. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Keith here. Keith's going to do a live demo with how we use specific software to solve our time management issues.
Thank you, Greg.
Don't forget to share your screen.
That's all right. I want to point it out about SOPs is, one of the things that we struggled with our business is, Greg is the owner and he knows everything. Everything lives inside of his head. And so, when he's hiring on new staff and new employees and there's no documentation of anything, it's like I have to go to Greg to find out everything and pull it out of his head. And then what we did is we just started making, lists and SOPs and things. So that way, if Greg is gone, there's documentation, there's a way that this task or whatever it is can still get done, because I'm sure a lot of business owners struggle with that, where, the only person that can do this is this person. And if they're not there, then it doesn't get done. Well, if you have SOPs in place and you can train other people on how to do these tasks, then you can delegate and free yourself up for more important things.
Yeah, that was my life 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? So if you're in a place where everything is in your head too, don't feel bad, because yours truly was. I have a really good friend here, an employee that has been very helpful with making sure that not everything lives in my head.
Yeah. But moving on, anyways, we're going to talk about some of the software that is pretty common out there. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Microsoft 365, and you guys use things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, all those things. OneNote, OneDrive, Teams, SharePoint, Planner, all the Microsoft stuff that everybody's using, right? Oh, you guys aren't using all that stuff. Oh, I understand. Okay, great. Well, let's start with the easy one. Everybody probably is using Microsoft Outlook. This is a pretty common application that's been around forever, and it's used for your email and it's used for your calendar. And one of the more important things is if your calendar doesn't have anything on it, you're really not getting anything done. So one thing that Greg and I focused on was putting things on our calendar. And, once a week we have a meeting and we use OneNote, Microsoft OneNote. It's like a notebook where we can jot everything down in. We put everything in the notebook. It just comes out of our mouths. We spill it out. We put it on there. And then we kind of, like we did Eisenhower matrix, we just rank our things. Okay, what do we need to put on our calendar this week? And so I probably should have shared the OneNote screen, but that's okay. One of the things that we do every Monday morning is we have a meeting. And so I want to make a new meeting with Greg, and we do this every Monday. We already have this on our other calendar, but I don't know if that showed up. Zoe, could you tell me if the meeting window showed up?
Sorry, what was that?
The meeting, so I went to click a button from my Outlook calendar to open a meeting. I've noticed things aren't opening up in the same window.
Oh yeah, I can see how you're creating a meeting invitation
great.
right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So
Yep, you're welcome.
Greg and I do a Monday meeting every week. And so we just go to our calendar, we make a meeting. I'm going to invite Greg. There he is right there. Or if you have somebody else, you can type in your list there. But it's just me and Greg, and we do this every Monday. So you can see there's the start time. We do it Monday we just sit down for an hour, talk about the week, what we're going to do, and what we're going to get done. And we do this every Monday. So one of the things you can do in your calendar is actually set a recurring event. And so I got this little appearance pops up here, my recurring window. It's weekly. We do it every Monday, and we can set an end date if we decide we don't want to do it no more, but we don't. So we'll just click no end date and we will add that to our calendar. Okay. And then another thing, a little bonus here is some people, sometimes we would Greg work in the office, but if we don't, we can actually set this up as a Teams meeting, and you can do this with any of your Any of your colleagues, coworkers, people that you communicate with, you can do a Teams meeting if you guys are using Teams, and then you can do like a webinar, something like we do in here on Zoom. You get video chat, you get audio chat. Just if another thing, if you're using the Microsoft suite of products that you have available to you. So,
And file sharing.
and file sharing. Yep, Teams is does a lot. But I'm going to go ahead and send this meeting to Greg, and he's going to get an email that he'll accept, and then you kind of see where he's supposed to be there. But so every Monday you can see there's a meeting, and I can go to next week and there's the meeting, and the week after and the week after. So there's all my meetings. So I'll go back to today and say we do another thing we want to schedule. Just a random event here to Tuesday afternoon. You know, I have the kids picnic, so I just want to start and do a, oops, I clicked appointment. I just, yeah, meeting, picnic, you know, just like that. So I can see, and then I'll add that it's Tuesday, it's 11:30 to 12. That's fine. I don't need too much details. You can always add more details in the notes section down below if you're, you know, doing more detailed work, but there's no mean, that's okay. So, one of the things that happens sometimes is, meetings have to be rescheduled. Oh, it rained this day on the picnic. I got to reschedule it. So if you double click on your meeting invite, you can actually change the dates and times. Just something that if somebody's not available for the meeting or you have to reschedule it, something that's always good to know that you can do that, and then you can just send that, and yeah, that's okay. So
Can you show them the thing that we learned today?
oh, in our meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We learned
so-
something new, so we're gonna share it.
Because we use Microsoft OneNote, and we put everything in notebooks. There's a little feature here. Let's I can make a OneNote. I can send this to my OneNote. So I just share the notes with this meeting occurrence, and then it'll open up my OneNote. And we have several notebooks here, but we'll just put this in our marketing notebook. We'll put it in our lunch and learn notebook. And we'll just add it to this file here, lunch and learn template. So I click OK. And what that will do is add this meeting invitation and stuff into my OneNote document, and I can view it here on the web. So if I click the web, it'll open up my OneNote in the web. Otherwise, it'll open it up in my OneNote application that's installed on the Windows computer.
They're just a quick little time saver.
Yep. But yeah, I think everybody's pretty comfortable with setting up meetings and things like that. Let me close this because I don't need that. Don't save. See if my other calendar is here, because we do have other calendars. I don't have it, but like our calendar, the way we've been scheduling things is full, pretty full. We fill up most of our calendar, and so about 75% of our week, I think we fill up. We try not to overbook ourselves. That's one of the things we ran into when we first started doing this. We committed to it is we would just, hey, there's an open hour here. Let's book something. And we were just trying to book everything and anything that we could, just so we wasn't leaving things off. Well, one of the things you mentioned is to give yourself a mental break. And so don't overbook yourself. 75% of your calendar full is pretty good. Give yourself a few open times in there to make sure that you're flexible. If something comes up, at least you can move things around or reschedule. So if you have a few hours block here, you're available to do something if needed, especially by your employees, or if you get a phone call randomly, you have a little bit of time to work down there. So I don't know why I clicked share, stop sharing. I'm going to share this again, because our next tool that we kind of use is called Microsoft To Do. And so if you're in your Outlook, there's all these little icons over here. Obviously we started with the calendar, but down here, there's that little check mark To Do. And so if you click on that, and I have quite a few to-dos in here, things that I've worked on in the past and things that are going to be worked on in the future. But this is a very handy tool because one of the things people do is they always are making to-do lists, whether it's a shopping list or, I got to do this, this, and that. Microsoft gives us an easy way to do that. So all I can do is here's my tasks, or especially what's important is the My Day thing. So if I had some tasks I had to do on my day, so I had to do my Grow Nebraska meeting, So I would just do that. Oh, I gotta go pick up groceries. And, whatever you want to add tasks to your My Day, things that you'll get done. And one of the things that happens if you don't get it done that day, you'll actually get a reminder in your email that you have overdue tasks. So that's kind of helpful if you're planning on, meeting with Joe, because he's an important guy that you're selling stuff to, and you forgot your meeting with Joe, you can apologize, or at least you'll remember that it's there. But meeting with Joe is pretty important. So what I want to do is I want to mark that with a star. So that way I know that it's important. And I always go back to check my to-do list, especially when you're not doing anything. You're wondering, man, what can I do next? Oh, go to my to-do list to see what's on the list. And there's a lot of options you can do with your tasks as well. So like you can set up reminders. If I want to get reminded later today that I got to meet with Joe, I can do that. Or if I got to meet with him on a certain day, hey, we got to meet by at least tomorrow, no later than that. If I want to meet with Joe, every week, I can do that as well. So I can set that there. And then there's, you can categorize them and things like that, other little features. If you had a file that you're working on with Joe, you can add that there, or some special notes, things like that. But yeah, and then say if you're doing a task or you don't want to do that task anymore, you can just delete it. Pretty simple. Get a little message there to delete your task. And then you can see all these other things. One of the things that Greg really likes is this flagged email. So a lot of people, they're going through their emails, just skimming through, they see one that's pretty important. There's that little flag there that you can click on, and that will flag that email. And that gives you kind of that verbal or visual cue that say, oh, that's an important email. I can't forget that. I got to go back and read that. In your tasks, you can actually see that, oh, I have flagged emails. So if you had, 20 emails flagged, you'll see a whole list of them there. And that'll just kind of give you that extra reminder that you got something to follow up on or something to do on your to-do list.
Yeah, I usually do that only with stuff that's actionable.
Yep.
Rest of it's all noise.
Yeah, use this however you want, but make sure if you are using it, it works for you in the ways you do it. You don't have to use all of the features that you're given. I know for a fact, whenever we use Excel, I know there's 1,000 different things I can do. And I probably use 3 things. That's probably
Add, multiply, subtract, and divide.
Exactly.
Some days.
Exactly. You don't have to use every feature just because it's there. And I guess I will have to stop sharing to get to my last piece of software that we use.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah, because like I've been saying, we actively train on and use Microsoft 365, and a lot of the apps that we work on. One of these that we recently just started using, probably in the last 6 or 8 months, was Planner, and it's been very helpful. It's similar to what To Do is, but Planner is actually for your team. So one of the things in Microsoft To Do, it's more of a personal task list. And so you set those tasks on there, and then don't forget to add them to your calendar if they're really important. But Microsoft Planner here, and I'll share that. There's my planner. This is actually very helpful for groups of people. So teams, 2 or more, obviously. You can use Microsoft Planner, and you get to that from tasks.office.com here. It's a web app. It's also a mobile app. So there's a little thing on here that you can get it on your phone, and you can work on this on your phone on the mobile app. So one of the plans that we frequently use is this Friday live stream checklist. We do a live video every Friday on our Facebook page. And one of the things we were running into is, we were just setting things up and we were doing it, and we didn't have our standard operating procedure in place. And so we made that, and then we turned this into an actionable plan that we use here in Microsoft Planner. So, every week we sit down and come up with a theme of the week. We make some notes here, and then we got a due date. We got the bucket it's in and things like that. And I'll show you a little bit more about buckets here in just a moment. But under each bucket here, you can add tasks. So, you add a task here, and, we just say hello, whatever. You name the tasks, whatever you want, something that makes sense to you. And then you can set due dates, and you can assign the task. If you want to get a little bit more detailed, you click on the task itself, and that's where you add all these other details notes. Checklists are pretty helpful. So if you're doing a specific task that, you have 3 steps, you can add, step 1, step 2, step 3, and then assign that. So we'll assign that to Greg here. And what will happen is in Greg's email, he'll get a notification shortly that he's been assigned a task.
Hello.
Hello. So and he's got,
I already did the task.
he's got 3 things to do on his tasks. And then there's a little button that you can show it on the card or not. But so this is the way that we set up our planner. We just have like categories of things like that. A more common way that we see people using is like a not started, in progress, and finished. And people would put a task here and then not started, and they would just drag it over like that. So you could drag it from stage to stage. And if you have like, multiple stages of that, you can do that. That's probably pretty helpful for people who have like time-oriented plans. And this can be used, you can make multiple plans here, create a new plan, and it gives you little templates here to start out with. So if I have a project that I'm working, I'll do the project management plan, and I'll just say project. And you get these options to add. If you want to add it to one of your groups, you can do that, or you can make it public or private, and it'll make the plan. So just create that. And if you start using Planner, it's pretty helpful, and you'll want to get somebody that is learning the product. So that way, if there's things that come up, they can help you with that. You can always add members here. So if I want to add Greg to my plan, I just type his name in and add him there. So now we have 2 people in this plan. 1-person plan doesn't really make sense. So you'd want to work with this with multiple people. And then you can even have this, you can just name these buckets by the person's name. So I can call this Keith, and I can name the next one Greg. And so I know what Keith is working on and what Greg is working on, and you can put tasks on it and assign it to them. So this was probably actually be pretty helpful if you had multiple people and you wanted to delegate tasks to them and maybe not have to have a sit down and have a physical meeting. You just assign a task to them, put your notes in there, and then they get an update in their email.
Yeah, there's a million ways of using it. It's just extremely flexible. And we found it extremely helpful, particularly in the live streams. We were missing lots of stuff, and there's a lot of little technical things that go into doing a live stream that nobody has even dreamed of if they haven't done it before. And there was always that one thing that we would forget until we started using the applications. So again, you're not using more than Word, Excel, PowerPoint. If you have Microsoft 365 and we use the Business Premium, you're actually, getting more value out of your software investment. So make sure, that if you have applications or a business problem, we're happy to help you, pick what solutions are out there, help you analyze it. That's kind of what we do. It's our shtick.
And going back to what I was saying about the tasks in Planner is that actually here in Outlook, you can see there's another tab here called tasks. And these are tasks that have been assigned to you or that you've assigned to yourself. And so like there's my Grow Nebraska task that I just assigned to myself. It just came through, and I can see that here on my task list. When I'm done, I can just check that box and it'll cross it off for me.
Yeah, and it crosses it off in the other application.
Yep.
And you will get an email also if you are assigned something from the planner. There you go. There's like this week's live stream checklist.
Yep. And then here's the plan I'd like to, that's a shared calendar.
Shared calendar.
That was another thing.
It'll come in a few minutes. It's not immediate.
No.
We'd like things to be immediate,
Yeah.
but they aren't always.
That's just kind of a quick run through of some of the tools that we use. We do focus on Microsoft 365. So that's why we train on these. And we wanted to show people out there, some things that they probably are paying for, but they might not be using. Like Greg said, this goes beyond just, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It's a powerful tool. Microsoft has so much. I mean, there's, in our app list, there's, 30 apps. And like I said, you don't have to use every one of them, but you go and you maybe test 1 or 2 of them out and see what you like. I know we tested out a few of them that we said, meh, this is okay, but I think we can do this better in this app. And so,
Mhm. But yeah, we, and Microsoft 365 is really very affordable for most small businesses. It's kind of a Swiss Army knife, like I said in the video. So we really appreciate that you guys had all come on today with us. And do we have any questions and answers?
I'm going to post a link. It's just an evaluation for us from the meeting here in the chat. And might share that. I don't know if how we would share that, Zoe, outside of the live Zoom meeting, but I guess it's recorded. Hopefully they can fill out
You want to type it
the
all
survey.
out. But yeah, be sure if you have a chance to go ahead and click on that and give us your honest feedback. This is like a first for us, so apologizing for technical difficulties. We really want to make sure that if you want to engage with us, just email us at help@honorboundit.com. And if you have a right fit conversation with us, usually 5 to 15 minutes, I'm going to send you the myth of multitasking in the mail. Well, that's my bribe. So Zoe, thanks for inviting us to do this webinar and for putting up with our amateur Zoom stuff.
Okay, it gets confusing, especially with the screen sharing. I always struggle with that part
Yeah, the
too.
mute button was a good one to remember.
But yeah, if you guys just want to send me all those documents, I can try my best to include them in the recording email. And then there's a specific email you want them to reach out to, or can I just give them both of your guys's emails?
Yep, either one will work, or help@honorboundit.com. Help@honorboundit.com automatically create the ticket. And we have an SOP for handling tickets. So that's usually the preferred method.
Sweet, okay.
Because we live in our ticket system.
I'll just go ahead and do that one then. But
Well,
yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to present. I was taking notes myself because I struggle with managing my time too. So but I don't think, did anyone have any questions before we wrap up? And if one happens to come up after, you will have their email to contact, so no worries. I think that's it. So again, thank you so much. I'll go ahead and pop up my screen here quick. Okay, can you guys see that? Okay.
Mhm.
See, I struggle with the screen sharing too. So again, thank you, Greg and Keith, for taking time out of your day for that great presentation. And thank you to everyone that attended live, and to those of you that are watching the recording. We missed you, but we're happy that you're watching it. If you have any questions for Grow Nebraska or for myself, you can email me at zoe@grownebraska.org, or you can give the store a phone call, and I'm usually there 5 days a week. We do have some upcoming training. So on February 23rd, which is next Thursday, we have a training over the inside look at Fire Springs Small Business Website Solutions. So that one will cover all details about websites. So if you struggle with some website type things, we highly recommend that you get registered. And if you can't attend live, you'll always get the recording. And then our March 23rd one is not up yet for registration, but it will be soon. And so be on the lookout for that. We will only have one in March due to Market Tech. So just a fair warning. And then today we were supposed to have our mini Market Tech workshop in Columbus, but due to the weather, we're going to have to reschedule that. So if you were registered for that, be on the lookout for a new date and time for that. And then our Grow with Google series will start back up in April 5th. And our new Grow with Google presenter is Maria Elena Duran. So also watch out for details on that and registration to be posted. And then we have Market Tech Conference, which is coming up super soon. I know Greg and Keith are going, I believe. Am I correct on that? Yep, they're ready. So it's on March 2nd and space is limited and we're near capacity. Last I heard, registration does close on February 27th. So we really urge you guys to register because it's a day full of learning, connecting, fun, great food. I mean, I've loved the food every year. That's a bonus. And we'll have 4 tracks. So we'll have agritourism plus adventure travel, social media, marketing, and business growth and resources. So you'll definitely be walking away with more knowledge than what you walked in with. So we highly recommend that you guys register if you're available March 2nd, and it is in Kearney. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask any of the Grow Nebraska members or contact me directly about it, and we will definitely help you out. So that's all I have for everyone. But thank you again, Greg and Keith, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week and stay warm if you're in the snow area. All
Thank you.
right, bye.